This is David Brannon, founder and managing lawyer here at Resolute Legal Disability Lawyers. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what the deadline is for you to apply for workers' compensation benefits from WorkSafe New Brunswick. This will be the deadline you have to get your kind of claim in to claim benefits and to give them notice that you have the injury, this type of thing. Now, if you like this video, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe because these videos come out a few times a week. What is the deadline to file a claim for workers' compensation benefits in New Brunswick? Now, this is not always an easy answer. This is not an easy question to find the answer to. So I wanted to just try to be as clear as I can for you as if you go to the websites for workers' compensation, sometimes it's not clear. In fact, it is definitely not clear what the deadlines are. So there's a few things to keep in mind here. Number one, there is a general duty, I would say, or an expectation that you are going to report the injury as early as possible, particularly to your employer. So here's the thing. Even if you may not make a formal claim to workers' compensation right away, you should report this injury, the incident, to your employer immediately, as soon as possible. Do it in a way that you have some record that you told the employer. You have more time to actually file a claim with workers' compensation here in New Brunswick, but there's this idea that if you didn't give your employer enough notice, or if you catch them off guard by waiting too long, it really can come back to bite you and cause problems. Number one, if you wait too long to tell the employer or to file a claim, then people start to wonder, maybe this isn't a workplace injury. Maybe you got injured somewhere else, and now you're coming back and trying to make it into a workplace injury. They're going to fight pretty hard. If you're not telling them right away, then there's going to be a lot of doubts and suspicion around your claim. So first things, regardless of how long you have to do it, you should immediately tell your employer, ideally do it by text or email or somewhere that you're going to have a physical record that you told them, so that they don't dispute later because they either legitimately forgot you told them or they lie about it later on. You have up to 1 year from the date of your injury, or the date where if it's not an injury and it's a medical like an illness that you got from the workplace, like a work-related illness, a year from the date when you first realized you had that illness, okay? But for most people, it's going to be a year from the date of the injury. So up until that year, you have no problem. You can put the claim in. The only problems you'll run into up to that first point, it won't be a late claim, but you can run into problems if you didn't notify the employer. You'll run into problems that there'll be big disputes over whether this is actually a workplace injury, and you don't want to be in that situation. So ideally, you do not wait a year to tell workers' compensation and your employer that you had this workplace injury, because you've now made it very hard to win your own case, because people are going to doubt that it was actually a workplace injury. What happens if you're past the year? So maybe you mentioned to the employer about it. They were aware, but you never put an actual claim into workers' compensation. So the way it works is workers' compensation has a policy that says that after a year, and it's actually the law as well, after a year, they have discretion on whether to allow your case to go forward, even though you're technically late. Now, obviously, the further past the year you are, the less likely they're going to want to give you a pass. But sometimes there's good excuses, and there's a policy that looks at the reasons for why you were delayed, and to what extent does this delay prejudice the employer and their ability to kind of, present their own case. And usually their own case is that this was not a workplace injury, that it was not tied to the work, this kind of thing. So if there's prejudice, if there's real prejudice, that your delay has caused real prejudice because now the employer can't prove certain things, or the information is gone, then you're going to have problems, right? But if there's not a lot of prejudice to them, in fact, if they even knew about it, then there's really very little prejudice to them. They will let you get by this 1 year, but it's not a guarantee. And certainly if you're over the year, you should seek some advice before you put in your application, because you are going to want to characterize it the right way and make sure you put your best foot forward. You're not obviously going to lie about things, but how you present things does matter. So if you are already past the year, then you're going to have to make sure you present it very carefully. If you apply and you get a denial saying that you're past the 1 year deadline and they don't feel that you have a good enough reason for being late, don't stop there. You can appeal that decision. In fact, it can be overturned. So you can appeal that decision that they're saying you're too late. This is, you've missed the deadline. That's something you should get help in appealing. You could call our firm, Resolute Legal, or you could reach out to in New Brunswick. There is the Workers Advisors Program the Workers Advocates Program, and they provide free legal services around this type of situation as well. So there's all kinds of options out there where you can reach out to find information about how to appeal these types of decisions. So that's it. You got a year, but we don't recommend waiting a year, and you absolutely need to notify everybody as soon as possible, even if you think it's not that serious, because sometimes what you don't think is serious can get serious later on. And if you haven't raised the issue right from the start, people are going to doubt it, and then you're going to cause problems for yourself later on. There you go. That's it. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, as we've got these videos coming out a few times a week, and I look forward to seeing you back here next time.